following program, Norml Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, Norml.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of Norml Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of Norml. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth. Hey!
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to think and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents Norml Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, Norml's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good afternoon, tokers and tokettes, and welcome. It is Wednesday, September 28th, 2011, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. Thanks for joining us for today's show. We've got plenty of stuff in store for you today on today's podcast, coming to you live and direct from Rolla J Studios here in beautiful Potland, Oregon. Also joining us from our virtual studio in beautiful Grastoria, Oregon, is the lovely and talented Cannabis Carrie.
Hello, Russ.
Hi, Carrie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's gorgeous out here today. I know that the fall weather is coming, but we're enjoying a little bit of Indian summer, so it's really nice.
I'm glad I've got you here in the virtual studio, because here in the actual studio, there's nobody, man. I'm all alone today, just, holding down the studio all by myself. So,
just like the good old days.
Just like the good old days. I know. You take a look around here on the Ustream camera there, you can see studio empty, not like usual, but hey, we'll do just fine anyway. We got you here listening to us on our podcast and on our live stream, and you're the ones we're doing the show for anyway. Want to let you know about my outfit today. Of course, no suit and tie today. I've got the Tulsa Norml t-shirt, rocking the Tulsa Norml. Shout out to Garrett Overstreet and all the great activists out there in Tulsa. And the 100% hemp cap. I forgot to mention this yesterday. Picked this up in Joplin. 100% hemp with a nice little USA stitched in there. That's pretty nice. So I like to show this off. So that's what we'll be showing off today on our webcams. So Carrie brings us our hemp headlines right at the beginning of the show. So Carrie, what do we have in the news today?
Well, we have, since it is Science Wednesday, I've got a story about cannabidiol. We've talked about it before, but a new study is out. Also, they're having some fence problems down in Arizona. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. And the Justice Department has put out a new memo that circumvents the rights of medical marijuana users. We're definitely going to talk about that. And I think you're bringing us a story from Florida. So we've got some full hemp headlines coming up after the break.
That's right. Got a story from Florida on the data from their drug testing. You know how the governor there, Rick Scott, wants to drug test or is drug testing everyone for welfare benefits. We got the latest data out of that with a surprising result. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that that recent Justice Department ATF memo on Second Amendment rights for medical marijuana patients, aka we have none. That'll be the subject of my radical rant coming up at the end of the show, second-class citizenship for medical marijuana. Today would normally be our Dr. Mitch Day. Unfortunately, there's been a death in Dr. Mitch's family, and he's had to head back to Missouri to visit his family. So today we'll be doing a little bit of look at the cannabis community. I've got some video of Cheech and Chong that just shows how deeply ingrained in the culture we have become, that the counterculture has actually become the mainstream now. And a look at the world's oldest stoner. Got some interesting video from YouTube on that one. Plus some of my photos from the devastation in Joplin, Missouri. We visited Joplin Norml while we were there at the Cannabis Revival. Took a look at Kelly Maddie's old place where it used to exist, and the amazing swath of devastation that was cut through that town in the residential areas. The pictures will be up on our webcam as we get on with the show. We are Norml Show Live. We are the voice of the Marijuana Nation, and we are here every weekday, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can follow us on Twitter at Radical Russ or at NormalNet. Check out our blog at stash.norml.org for more information as well, including the links to a lot of these stories that we're doing today and a lot of the videos that we are posting. You can also follow Cannabis Carry at Cannabis Carry. That's Karri. And what do you know? While I was sitting here, the studio got a little bit fuller. Say hi to the internet, everybody. Hi, internet. We're right back after this.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the only way to honor the Constitution that gives us these precious rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search or seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney, Omar Figueroa. Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at www.omarfigueroa.com.
You're listening to 1 hour of random daily toker tunes. The best of Roots Monday, Electric Tuesday, Irie Wednesday, Groovin' Thursday, and a double dose of Rockin' Friday. Our show replay begins at the top of the hour.
Weedmaps.com. I'm Radical Russ from Norml. In my job as outreach coordinator, I travel every month, and when I'm on the road, I need a fast, accurate way to find the medical marijuana dispensaries in the area. So I turn to Weedmaps.com. Weedmaps.com has the best dispensary locator online or on your mobile device. Search by zip code or let Weedmaps find you, and in seconds you'll have the addresses, phone numbers, and customer service reviews for the medical marijuana dispensaries in the local area. Weedmaps.com also has a section devoted to helping you find a doctor who understands and recommends medical marijuana under your state's law. You can even check prices on the Medical Marijuana Stock Exchange. Coming soon, you'll even be able to find the listings of Norml attorneys and chapters, local head shops and grow shops, and the best weed-friendly businesses. Weedmaps.com has the information you need to be an informed cannabis consumer. Visit Weedmaps.com today, a proud sponsor of the Norml Network.
Inhaling deeply of the sacred smoke.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's Norml News with Cannabis Carry.
If you travel straight down Interstate 19 in Arizona, you will end up in the border town of Nogales. Nogales, a town of about 20,000 people on the American side, is a major entry port for drugs coming across the U.S.-Mexican border. The state and federal government has built a $41 million 2.8-mile fence that was completed this summer to combat people and drug smuggling. The new fence is called a bollard-style fence that features concrete-filled steel tubes with approximately 4-inch spaces between them. The old fence was torn down, and the new fence is 18 feet high and goes several feet into the ground. But drug smugglers are enterprising, and this week the Santa Cruz County Metro Task Force says they recovered 48 pounds of marijuana wrapped in thin tubular packages. So long and thin were the plastic packaging that investigators finally realized that the packages fit perfectly through the long, thin holes in the new fence. The bundles are perfectly clean and the perfect size. Well, Homeland Security, maybe next time, or maybe the next 3-mile fence should cost, $100 million. Russ?
Fences don't work. How many times throughout history do we have to prove this? Fences just don't work, and you cannot repeal the law of supply and demand. If there's people that want a product, there will be people that will supply a product. All we do here is we show the creativity of our community and the creativity of the people that want to supply us. You build a fence with 4-inch holes in it, we'll make 3-inch packages to slip weed through. You build a solid fence, 15 feet high, we'll have catapults bolts that'll catapult the stuff over the fence. We had a story like that a few months ago. No matter what you do, the weed's going to get in. We can't keep weed out of our supermax federal penitentiaries with guards and moats and sharks with frickin' lasers on their heads. It doesn't matter. We are going to find a way to get our medicine. It's going to happen. And if you don't let us grow our own, and if you make the risk so dangerous to us to grow it for ourselves, somebody else is going to grow it for us, and somebody else is going to make a handsome profit off of taking that risk for us. It's time to end this stupid war on drugs because it's just futile. It can never work. Only through proper regulation of substances that people want to use and regulations that ensure that they use those substances responsibly will we ever see any change in our drug society.
Researchers from the Temple University School of Pharmacy in Philadelphia say that cannabidiol, an extract from marijuana, may be a promising treatment to prevent pain in those getting the chemotherapy drug paclitaxel. Sarah Jane Ward and colleagues of Temple University School of Pharmacy said that cannabidiol has pain and inflammation-reducing effects while avoiding the psychoactive side effects of marijuana and other cannabinoid compounds. In female mice, cannabidiol reduces paclitaxel-induced neuropathy. Neuropathy is a potentially serious complication that can prevent patients from receiving their full recommended course of chemotherapy. Paclitaxel, commonly used in the treatment of advanced breast or ovarian cancer, can cause neuropathy or nerve damage, leading to symptoms like extreme pain, numbness, or tingling. In the study, male and female mice were treated with paclitaxel and monitored for evidence of neuropathy. The results showed that paclitaxel induced abdominal pain responses, mainly in female mice, less so in the males. When female mice were treated with cannabidiol before paclitaxel, it effectively prevented the development of abdominal pain. The preventative effect was permanent, with no evidence that nerve damage developed after the cannabidiol treatment was stopped. Ward said, however, further study needed to evaluate cannabidiol's effect in humans. Of course, they're coming. The findings were published in Anesthesia and Analgesia.
Wow, every time we actually get the chance to study what's going on with medical marijuana, we continually get more and more amazing results. And here, we already knew that medical marijuana use for patients that were suffering from chemotherapy, not suffering from chemotherapy, well, yes, suffering from chemotherapy, suffering from cancer and using chemotherapy to treat it. We've already known that the use of medical marijuana helps them with the nausea that they suffer, right? You just can't keep any food down after taking the chemo. Now we're finding the other constituents here, CBD, are actually good for the possible neuropathy that can develop from that. How much more would we know about cannabis and cannabinoids if we hadn't been stymied on doing real peer-reviewed scientific research all these years? We can go all the way back to 1974 when our federal government sponsored research first found that THC was effective in killing in vitro cells of glioma, right? Brain cancers, right? In a petri dish. We've known that for years and years, and then they shelve that study. They don't want to know any more good news. They want to restrict and retard the research so that we don't find the good news about cannabis, so they can continue to lie about it and to continue to lock up the healthy people that are trying to use it. It's ridiculous and it needs to stop. There is so much potential we have yet to unlock from the cannabis plant, much less the potential from the industrial hemp industries as well. All of this is being restricted to try to stop guys like me from smoking a joint. And guess what? Guys like me are smoking a joint anyway, so all you're doing is losing all those potential benefits and not actually solving the problem you intended to solve.
Now, we've had a state Supreme Court case here in Oregon, and now it looks like the gun rights of Montanans and citizens in medical marijuana states all over the U.S. are being threatened, too. On September 21st, the Department of Justice notified federally licensed firearm dealers that they cannot sell guns or ammunition to medical marijuana users or cardholders. That memo came from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, directly says that the federal government classifies marijuana as a Schedule I controlled substance, even in states that have medical marijuana laws. Federal law prohibits any person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to any controlled substance from possessing firearms or ammunition, according to the Gun Control Act of 1968. The memo reminded federal gun seller licensees that if they have reason to believe that someone is using a controlled substance, they may not sell them a gun. The Montana Shooting Sports Association blasted the September 21st letter by the ATF to firearm dealers. Gary Marbut, the president of the group, told a Montana newspaper, quote, It's egregious that people may be sentenced to years in a federal prison only because they possessed a firearm while using a state-approved medicine. Kate Chalua of the Montana Cannabis Industry Association said that the policy goes so far as to say even being in possession of a medical cannabis card forfeits a citizen's Second Amendment rights, whether or not that person even followed through and used cannabis for their condition. Chris Lindsay, a lawyer specializing in medical marijuana cases, wrote, quote, "With the stroke of the pen, the Department of Justice has suspended the Second Amendment for those who use medical cannabis." Now, the Justice Department memo, or the ATF memo, added that, quote, "There are no exceptions in federal law for marijuana purportedly used for medical purposes, even if such use is sanctioned by state law. Any person who uses or is addicted to marijuana, regardless of whether his or her state has passed legislation authorizing marijuana use for medical purposes, is an unlawful user or addicted to a controlled substance and is prohibited by federal law from possessing firearms and ammunition." The memo says people who are using medical marijuana should answer yes to a question on that issue on the firearms transaction record that asks, "Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance?" Gun dealers must refuse to sell firearms or ammunition to those answering yes. If a gun dealer has reasonable cause to believe the person is an unlawful user of medical marijuana, the letter says the dealer may not sell guns and bullets to that person, even if he answered no to the question. And I asked a few gun dealers, and they all said that nobody has ever answered yes to that question on that form.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in our Radical Rant at the end of the show. I just wanted to remind you that a couple of months ago, this guy told you so.
Mention that you use medical marijuana. Right to petition? Yeah, we've petitioned to get medical marijuana rescheduled to Schedule 1, but they keep ignoring us. Right to bear arms? If you're a drug felon, you don't get to have any right to bear arms anymore.
And now it's looking like you don't even have to be the drug felon to lose your right to bear arms. All you have to be is a sick person who has decided they want to use medical cannabis rather than sticking to toxic, addictive, side effect-laden pharmaceuticals. So once again, we're seeing how medical marijuana patients are really just second-class citizens in this society. On another note, we have some news out of Florida. You may remember the governor out there, Governor Rick Scott, wanting to drug test people for welfare recipients. If you want to get temporary assistance to needy families, women, infants, and children, food stamps, those kind of things. He instituted drug testing for welfare, and it's the only law of its kind currently in force in this nation. Michigan had a similar law, but it was declared unconstitutional. This one has yet to be taken through the courts for the constitutional challenge. But reporting from the Chicago Sun-Times finds a very interesting result. Quote, "Preliminary figures on a new Florida law requiring drug tests for welfare applicants show that they are less likely than other people to use drugs, not more. One famous Floridian suggests that it's the people who came up with the law who should be submitting specimens." Governor Rick Scott and other supporters of the law, the only one of its kind currently on the books in the U.S., say the test will save on state cash by weeding out people. Weeding out people. How clever! By weeding out people who would use welfare money on drugs. Critics say that just a few months after it went into effect, the law has already refuted the idea that people receiving public assistance are more likely to use drugs. Well, look, folks, this is no surprise to me. I've been poor, and I've done drugs. When you're poor, you can't afford drugs, especially weed. You gotta pay rent. You gotta eat. Weed is the drug mostly detected in these tests, and it remains detectable for weeks. It's generally non-addictive, so a person who has to go without it can easily do so. For nearly everybody who smokes weed, it's a luxury item. Now, those poor folks who do turn to other substances can find a much cheaper high in alcohol and other drugs. Most other drugs are undetectable after a few hours or days, and alcohol is both legal and not tested. Even then, for most poor people, beer and other drugs are still luxury items. The majority of people who use drugs are not addicts. That's the key here, folks. People don't understand. They just think that if you take drugs, oh my God, you're a slave to the drug. You've got to have it. You'll forego everything else. And it's just not the case. Most people use drugs as an escape, as a luxury item, as something to relax with. And when times are tough, that's one of the places they cut back. So now these poor people who are already struggling get the indignity of peeing in a cup when they're more likely to be clean than the people who don't need assistance. And those addicted few who are caught, they get to be further impoverished, making drug use and or selling drugs on the street look even that much more appealing. A little late on my break cue, but we're going to take one anyway. Hanging out here in the studio with good friends, and when we come back, NorCal Perps on the phone with your Irie Wednesday Daily Toker Tunes.
It's 20 after the hour, and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support Norml Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
The High Times Medical Cannabis Cup is coming to Detroit on October 15th and 16th. That's right. The world's premier medical marijuana competition will be in Motown to celebrate the cannabis economy of the Great Lakes State. It's a 2-day expo at Burt's Warehouse Theater, showcasing the movers and shakers of the Michigan medical marijuana industry and the merchandise that makes the machine go. There will be seminars with leaders of the medical marijuana movement, doctors, patients, researchers, growers, dispensary owners, and activists. Plus, High Times own cultivation editors Danny Danko and Nico Escondido will roll into town with the goods on growing great ganja. Be there for an amazing Saturday night VIP party featuring top musical performances and special guests. High Times will award the Medical Cannabis Cup for top indicas, sativas, hybrids, concentrates, and edibles. Entered by Michigan's dispensaries and collectives. Come to Burt's Warehouse Theater on October 15 and 16. Visit medcancup.com for all the details. Celebrate cannabis in Michigan. Celebrate the resurgence of Detroit. Be part of the growing cannabis community.
Want to legalize marijuana? Prove it. Join Norml today at norml.org, and your donation will help us spread the growing truth about cannabis. Free speech ain't free, you know.
Free the ganja tree, it's the healing of the nation. Free the Cali weed, good for meditation. Free the pot smokers, they renal delight. Lighting up the chalice, they keep no malice. Free the marijuana, come on, say. Free the marijuana, hear me, say. Free the marijuana, come on, say. Free the marijuana.
Norml Show Live. We're as much like Cheech and Chong as ordinary Americans are like the Three Stooges.
Hey, Mo! Here, Mo!
In today's busy world, we're inundated by advertising for all types of pharmaceuticals that come with a laundry list of potential side effects. Shouldn't you have better medical choices? Natural alternatives to pills pushed by Big Pharma? At Alternative Medical Choices, you could choose natural, safe, and effective alternative therapies that are right for your budget without nasty side effects. Cannabis, or marijuana, has been a legal medicine in the Pacific Northwest since 1998. Our doctors will help determine your qualifications for a medical marijuana recommendation in Oregon, no matter where you live. Our massage therapists will ease your aches and stress with soothing hemp seed oil or cannabis-infused massage salves. We also offer acupuncture, Reiki, and other alternative health therapies. Call Alternative Medical Choices in Portland, Oregon at 503-288-5579 or visit our website at www.altmedchoices.com. We specialize in out-of-state recommendations. That's www.altmedchoices.com or call 503-288-5579.
It's time for your Daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420 friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Today we get tunes for Irie Wednesday, our celebration of that mellow vibe we find in the best of reggae, ska, calypso, and Latin music. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on Norml Show Live, send it to us at stash@norml.org. Now here's some more great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tunes.
All right, time to go back down to the Bay Area and speak with NorCal Perps, our regular Irie Wednesday editor. How you doing, Kyle?
Not too bad. How you doing today, Russ?
I'm having myself a good day. Got friends in the studio. Got some good herb. I hope you're doing the same.
Yeah, doing pretty good here. Packing up a few bowls, getting ready for the East Coast 420.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to celebrate early here on the West Coast, too. We've got some great Irie music coming up here today. A group we've played before. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring Natural Vibrations again, also known as Natty Vibes. They bring a combination of reggae, rock, and classic Hawaiian influence. With strong roots from Jamaica and Hawaii, they combined the just real classic beach culture and just really bring everything that you would want to think of when you think of going to the beaches of Hawaii or Jamaica and just having a nice big fat spliff there.
All right, that sounds like a good idea. Nice white sand beaches, some waves rolling up there. That'd be a good time, I think.
Yep, yeah, maybe some of Bob Marley's favorite strains, some lamb's bread, twist it up for you.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Now, we've got a festival coming up there or an expo, I should say, the West Coast Cannabis Expo coming up there in just a couple of weeks, I believe, in your area. Any chance you're going to be headed out there?
I'm looking to possibly go up there. We've got so many events still going on over here. There's that, and then I believe the weekend after, there's also the Santa Cruz Harvest Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an overnight camping event. So I'm trying to definitely get into that overnight camping one, as well as go up for at least a day, if not both days, to the West Coast Cannabis Expo.
All right. And, of course, we also have, on the other side of the coin, in the bad news side, we've got our friend Rolla J. His first court appearance is October 11th. That's the Tuesday coming up. Have you got any new details on that? Have you heard anything? And how's Jay doing?
I have not. I've been in a little contact with him by text message, just kind of waiting for an opportunity for us good time for us to meet up and get together, go and get a chance to hang out.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to the music here. This is Natty Vibes with Green Harvest. And Kyle, thank you so much for the music. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Russ.
Now this song is dedicated to all the farmers and all the cultivators. People planting seeds, let them grow, let them go. Let the light come shining through into your room. From the seed of plant will grow, yes, pretty soon. Growing seeds here is a must, it is a must. Smell the green nuggets that it busts, in God we trust. You know what you gonna do, you know what you gonna do, stay away, or stay far, far away. You know what you gonna do, you know what you gonna do, stay away. We harvest every day. Now 3 months have gone on by, my how time flies. Although it gives you red eyes, now the question's where and why, just where and why. 'Cause the weeds greener on the east side will show up right. You know what you gonna do, you know what you gonna take, stay away, or stay far, far away. You know what you gonna do, you know what you gonna take, stay away. We harvest every day.
I get irate, amigos focus on. He say me crazy, almighty, and then me give to Jah. Don't you know that we can grow it? So give me the tick-tock style so me can rock it sweet and slow. Them off the sweet, sweet tree on a sweet green valley. Every time they look at me, they looking smiling. On a sweet, sweet tree from a valley. Every time they look at me, me looking irate.
You want a copy of that song for your iPod? Check out the Daily Toker Tunes at the Stash blog by surfing to stash.norml.org and choosing Media, and then Toker Tunes from the main menu.
As High Times Senior Cultivation Editor, I'm often called into the field and asked to sample or even identify exotic strains of marijuana in their natural habitat. Now, for the first time, I've compiled more than 120 of my favorite strains into this single field guide designed to fit into your pocket as you travel the world in search of your favorite plant. From a friend's closet grow room to the wilds of Northern California, this single guide covers all of today's best-known strains, plus heirlooms and throwbacks, including High Times quality photos and information on each variety's genetic heritage and growing characteristics, plus my personal notes on aroma, flavor, and potency. So this is Danny Danko, author of the official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains, wishing you good times and great ganja.
The official High Times Field Guide to Marijuana Strains is available at hightimes.com and finer bookstores.
Okay, class, repeat after me. Am I free to go, officer? I don't consent to any searches, officer. I wish to speak to my attorney before answering any questions, officer. These 3 phrases may help your attorney keep your ass out of a jail cell someday, so memorize them and use them.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527.
The most devastating effect of the war on marijuana is that it is a war on everyday people like you and me. All week, we speak to the doctors, scientists, celebrities, and politicians who make up the professionals fighting for cannabis liberty. But we never forget about the tens of millions who use cannabis, the millions who need medical access to cannabis, and the hundreds of thousands arrested every year for cannabis, and the tens of thousands imprisoned under our marijuana laws. At Norml, we are the cannabis consumers lobby, and we take this opportunity to share the experience of our cannabis community.
All right, for those of you tuning in to listen to Dr. Mitch is off today on family business. He'll be back next week taking your questions in our cannabis science segment. In the meantime, just going to take this time to do a little cannabis community, some show and tell, and discussion of some of the things that are happening that have slipped between the cracks, if you will, while we've been out and about. And this first thing is a video that was forwarded to me, an advertisement, as it will, long-form video advertisement. It's featuring Cheech and Chong, and for me, it's really amazing because it just shows how ingrained the cannabis community has become in, just advertising and popular discourse. And to me, this is a real bellwether of how far we've come in popular support and popular opinion. It's that old Gandhi saying, first they ignore you, then they mock you, then they fight you, then you win. We're kind of between that mocking and fighting stage, I think. And I hope I got that in the right order, but I think I did. Anyway, wanted to play this as the new Cheech and Chong video out there, and I really hope you enjoyed as much as I do.
This is 102. I need a vehicle check, license plate, California CHNG.
Stay close. Driver, I need you to cut that engine and place those hands outside the window. Now.
Hey, man, is there a problem? Yeah, man, are we on America's favorite Getting Hassled by the Man show?
I actually don't know the name of the show. What is the name of this show, anyways? Does it have a name?
They're back and off to the craziest desert festival in the world.
Flaming Paul, here we come.
Cheech. Chong.
Is it raining?
Cheech and Chong's Magic Brownie Adventure. Join them in their quest to deliver thousands of magic brownies to Flaming Pole.
Flaming Pole is wild, man.
Burning pole?
Flaming Pole.
Flaming pole.
You eat magic brownies?
Give me a bite.
Everybody gets naked?
I want to go, Mommy.
Ryan, you want to sit up here with Dad?
Yeah.
That's such an awesome van you got. What's in the back?
Brownies. Yeah, magic brownies.
Whoa! Hey, it's not a van!
It's okay, man. I got his throwing thing.
What?
He'll have to come back and get this.
A story of revenge. Love.
Hey, wasn't that the hippie?
I knew we'd run into him eventually.
America.
Fellas, I don't know what the world is coming to.
Robots.
Turn him off. He's choking me.
I don't know how, man.
Chicks. Angry guy. French-speaking dogs.
Oh.
Action.
There's a bomb in the car. A bomb?
And brownies. Chewy, chocolatey brownies. That are 90 calories and high in fiber.
What?
Fiber. Because now that you're getting older, you need a new kind of magic from your brownie.
This is the weirdest movie ever, man.
Fiber One 90-calorie brownies. Taste the magic of fiber.
Get high on fiber. Wanna have a brownie, my magic brownie. Get rid of your frowny. Turn them upside down. So if you've got Cheech and Chong selling high fiber brownies now to the older set, you know this has got to be one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, and I'm just thrilled how our culture is just, like I said earlier, is becoming ingrained in the society. Now this next video that I have for you, another interesting one I found out there, is a video that purports to be the world's oldest stoner, and I think the thing to note is how this guy, who's 98 years old, doesn't look to be 98 by any standard that I'd ever judge. Check this one out.
When I'm stoned, man, I take off. Wow, I like this stuff.
The only time he doesn't do it is when he's in the shower. In the bathtub, yes. On the toilet, well...
I'm the oldest pot smoker in America.
His ego is bigger than his body.
I started smoking grass in 1936.
Of course, you can't drive unless you smoke.
I'm one of the best drivers when I'm stoned.
He's a lousy driver.
Dig it, man. Oh, that was really a holy smoke, man.
It just goes on and on and on. Now this, I can take it or I can leave it. I'm better off when I take it. Besides that, I get on the same level that he's on, and then we really click, you know? I mean, I can understand what he's saying.
Blind monkey.
And he almost understands what I say.
Oh, that was good. Do you want to smoke?
I love that video. World's oldest stoner, blind monkey. I still don't know what blind monkey means, but what a beautiful thing. We got that up on our blog at stash.norml.org if you want to check that out for yourself. Now, to round things out here, I'd like to end up with a look at some of the devastation and some of the pictures that I took while I was up in Joplin, Missouri. I was there, of course, for the Cannafest, or the Cannabis Revival. There we go. That's the name. So many festivals this year that I've been to. It's hard to remember which one I was just at, but the Cannabis Revival 2011 in Joplin, Missouri. And I was a guest of Kelly Maddie of Joplin Norml, and he and his wife lost their home. Their brother, who lived right next door to them, lost their home. So he, they've been trying to rebuild, and this is a big theme in Joplin right now, is to rebuild Joplin and for everyone to stick around and try to make a go of it. And at the Cannabis Revival, 50% of the proceeds from the t-shirts that they were selling, and I wore the t-shirt on yesterday's show, 50% of those t-shirt proceeds went to benefit the victims of the tornado, and they sold out of the t-shirts, every single one of them. So I really hope that helped out a lot of people Norml in Joplin. Now, here's a look as we were driving through. Kelly and I were driving through Joplin, and I kind of took some pictures from the dashboard, if you will. So, and it's my BlackBerry, so it's not necessarily the best shots in the world, but I hope this at least give you an idea what we're looking at as we went through Joplin, and just, piles of rubble on the sides of the road and empty foundations. This is one picture that really stuck with me, though. If you can see there's a pole that's like from a sign of some sort. It might have been a KFC or something. Who knows what a plumbing sign. But you can see this piece of metal that was just taken and blown around the sign, and blown there hard enough that it stuck. So this just random piece of flying metal got stuck to this pole and is still up there today, 4 months later. That was just really amazing to me when I saw that for the first time. Again, this entire area, this big empty area. Now they just managed to get the electrical poles up, so they've got electrical wire running there. When the tornado came, that was all torn down as well. What you're looking at, that big empty area, that was like residential suburbs. That was like completely packed with homes, and now it is nothing but empty lot when you look there in Joplin. More houses that just had roofs torn off them. Of course, some of the stone houses or brick houses stayed, but lost their roofs, of course. And here, I believe we're approaching the high school. We got more boarded up houses, and then we get to my favorite picture. We had to turn around in a parking lot at the Wildwood Baptist Church in Joplin, Missouri, and painted on the back of the van there are the words, "Turning Jesus Loose." And I just want to know why the Wildwood Baptist Church was holding Jesus hostage in the first place, that they felt they needed to turn him loose. But you've been warned. Look busy. All right, more of the devastation. You can see the trees that are, blown over. So many broken trees in the area. It was just amazing. Piles of rubble everywhere you looked as we ran around corners. Of course, still lots of construction equipment out there trying to remove some of the rubble and clean up. And again, everywhere you looked, it was just amazing. And of course, Kelly was telling me they had F5 winds at some point there when they were doing during the tornado, some winds up to 300 miles per hour. Coming up here, you'll see some trees where the actual bark is blown right off the trees. Like the bark is stripped right off the trees, which is the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. This is the high school in the area, which kind of looks like a bomb went off at this high school. You can kind of see inside the rooms. There's one of those trees with the bark stripped off them. If I can get in there a little closer, maybe you can see that. There we go. Bark stripped right off those trees. You can see the bare wood there with no bark on it. Just something I'd never seen before. And again, more and more just blocks and blocks and blocks of rubble. And one of the things that was really strange as well, going down some of these streets, is that there would be complete devastation on one side of the street, and on the other side of the street, the streets weren't really that harmed. The houses were, in relatively good shape. After we toured the devastation, we got to go out and hang out with the people that were putting on the Joplin event, and we went to a restaurant called Cheddar's. And, of course, this was the appetizer, bacon cheese fries, so my cholesterol went up 70 points the minute I walked in. Ironically, though, the meal I had there was one of the healthiest meals I've had in years. I had salmon and rice and broccoli and green beans. It was really good. More devastation out in Joplin. You can also see I brought some Portland, Oregon weather with me. It was all gray and overcast the whole time I was there. And this was a Home Depot that had been destroyed. What you're looking at right now is the parking lot. And in the background is where the Home Depot used to be. Lots of bare signs. You can see this sign just torn apart by the wind, with the parts of it just still hanging off of the pole as it was torn off by the wind. Just amazing looking at all of this. And the people are rebuilding. They've got great attitudes here. And then, of course, after all of that bad news, we managed to get to the Cannabis Revival in Joplin, Missouri. They had a wonderful stage set up in a big old park there. That was a member of Fully Informed Jury Association who was speaking to the crowd. This is early in the day, so you're still not seeing as many people as were there. You know, vendors of all kinds with pins and little joints. And I think the thing that was most impressive to me was the number of Norml chapters we had in attendance. This is the Pitt State Norml, Pitt State in Kansas. Chapter was there. Joplin Norml was there. Joplin Norml of Joplin, Missouri, of course, the hometown Norml chapter. They have tie-dye, of course, so you have tie-dye at all of these events. I love the sign that says baby tie-dye, $5, because if you ask me, I'm against tie-dyeing babies. I think that's wrong. I don't think babies should be tie-dyed. I think it's probably dangerous for them. And besides, I don't know how you get them to hold their breath. I don't know how that works out. All sorts of vendors, of course, as there are at any of these events. Kansas City Norml from Kansas City, Missouri was there. Tulsa Norml from Tulsa, Oklahoma. By the way, I lost a bet with the Tulsa guys. There was 3 of them there, and Tulsa was playing Boise State that day. Boise State was a 28-point favorite and led the game 34-0 at the end of the third quarter when Boise State pulled all their starters and allowed Tulsa to get back 21 points and beat the spread. So I owe all these guys now. Joco Norml was there. Johnson County Norml, Johnson County, Kansas. Temple 420 was there. This is one of our listeners, forgetting his handle on the chat room right now, the one who got busted for beer supplies, beer brewing supplies. He went to the store. The store happens to sell beer brewing supplies and hydroponic growing supplies. He was picking up stuff to brew beer. The cops staked him out. They showed up at his house, 8 Missouri troopers. And of course, he wasn't growing weed or anything. Didn't have any weed or anything on him or in the house. All he had was beer brewing supplies. For that, we took 8 Missouri officers, squad cars out of duty to harass this poor man. Makes a lot of sense. And then finally, Greater St. Louis Norml, St. Louis, Missouri. And so the thing that I was most proud of about this is that here I am in Red State, Missouri as the National Outreach Coordinator and thinking that, you know, there's not going to be much activism, when in fact I found more activism going on in Missouri, and with 6 chapters from 3 different states, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas, all representing there at their Hemp Fest. And then I go to my hometown Portland Hempstock and I don't see a single Norml chapter representing with a booth. I don't see a single Norml banner up on the stage. Gotta say, I was really disappointed with that. All right, when we come back, we're going to have a little radical rant. We're going to talk about medical marijuana, the latest ATF memo that's saying that we don't have Second Amendment rights, coming from Idaho and having first fired a rifle when I was 8. I have a few things to say about that. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Webb Hubble. Life insurance is now available for responsible marijuana smokers. For years, responsible marijuana smokers have not been able to access affordable life insurance products. Norml uniquely supports cannabis consumers. 2 carriers have already agreed to offer all of their traditional life insurance products at all levels without excluding individuals who smoke marijuana responsibly. Help Norml and help yourself. If you've been declined for life insurance, are paying above market premiums, or simply want to know what now may be available in the way of insurance for marijuana smokers, contact me at info@mclaughlinonline.com or simply call me at 202-293-5566.
You want to legalize it? Call your congressman today. 202-224-3121. It's free, it's easy, and you don't even have to give your name, just your zip code, and they'll hook you up to your congressman. Call 202-224-3121 and tell Congress you support marijuana legalization.
Liberate your mind. Liberate your mind. Liberate your mind. Liberate your mind. That's what you got to do. Liberate your mind.
Hey, what up? It's the Dirtball from the Cottonmouth Kings. You are now listening to the Norml Show live.
USVI normal go broke down barrier. Herb is medicine to broke down barrier. Boost the economy and broke down barrier. It's helping other states broke down barrier. Cannabis for legalized to broke down barrier. Join and speak your voice broke down barrier. We gonna change the law broke down barrier. We got to educate broke down barrier. Yeah, this is Nayora, bigging up USVI Norml, working to legalize cannabis, for the whole of the Virgin Islands.
USVI Norml is a non-profit organization working to legalize cannabis for the use by the industries and responsible adults. Do your part. Join USVI Norml. Register to vote. Pass the word. Voice your opinion. You can change the law. Contact us for more information at 340-244-9179. You can also visit our website at www.usvinorml.org.
You want answers? I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended a Shaolin temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hooah!
Radical rant.
Well, according to the U.S. government, registered medical marijuana patients have no Second Amendment constitutional rights. A just-released memo from the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives has just been shocking medical marijuana advocates, civil libertarians, gun rights advocates. Everybody who hears about this can't believe it, but I'll tell you, it's something I've been telling you for a very, very long time now. According to President Obama's Department of Justice, if you are one of the 1.5 million registered or recommended medical marijuana patients in one of 16 states and the District of Columbia, you have no right to bear arms. This is the specific paragraph from the memo dated September 21st and available by a link at our blog at stash.norml.org. You can look at it for yourself right from the atf.gov. Quote, therefore, any person who uses or is addicted to marijuana, regardless of whether his or her state has passed legislation authorizing medical marijuana use for medicinal purposes, is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance and is prohibited by federal law from possessing firearms or ammunition. Such persons should answer yes to question 11E on ATF Form 4473, the firearms transaction record. And by the way, that's the part on the form that asks, are you addicted to marijuana or other narcotics? They're saying you have to answer yes to that if you're a medical marijuana patient. And you may not transfer firearms or ammunition to them. Further, if you are aware that the potential transferee is in possession of a card authorizing the possession and use of marijuana under state law, then you have, quote, reasonable cause to believe, end quote, that the person is an unlawful user of a controlled substance. As such, you may not transfer firearms or ammunition to the person even if the person answered no to question 11E on ATF Form 4473. That's right. Your medical marijuana recommendation is a reasonable cause to believe that you are a drug addict and therefore ineligible for Second Amendment rights. If you go off to the gun store, the Walmart to get a shotgun or some ammo or whatever, and you pull out your wallet, and when they ask for your ID, you open up your wallet, and next to your ID is your medical marijuana card, like we have here in Oregon or they have in other states. So they see the top of that card. That enough right there would be enough for the gun dealer to not sell you the weapons or sell you the ammunition. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I just saw that little card in your wallet. Oregon Medical Marijuana Program. I'm afraid I can't sell to you, you drug addict. That's what this has come down to, folks. And I've been telling you for a long time that medical marijuana is second-class citizenship. It's please don't lock me up because I'm really, really sick. All right, but you can't drive and you can't have a gun and you can't be outside and you can't go to another state and you can't go to a national park and you can't have federal housing and we won't give you any sort of assistance and we might take your kids away. But okay, you can have your medical marijuana. How does it feel now? All these people for so long that I've been telling, if you continue to fight for medical marijuana only, you're only going to have marijuana that's very, very medical. And that's what we're finding out. But it's not even that good. This is not something that we would restrict OxyContin users to. This is not something we would restrict someone with a legal Vicodin prescription to. And let me tell you about my redneck cousins and uncles back in Idaho who for every year getting the elk tag and going up with a couple cases of beer is an annual ritual, okay? So don't give me this thing about drug addicts, not being safe with weapons. I see all sorts of alcoholics go hunting all the time, and we're not checking anyone's Vicodin prescriptions as to whether or not they can be hunters or sport shooters or even have a firearm to protect and defend themselves. And how far is this going to go? I mean, what else is going to be reasonable cause to believe that I'm a drug addict and I don't get my Second Amendment rights? My Tulsa Norml t-shirt? Wearing a Norml t-shirt obviously must be a drug addict. No gun for him. How about being a petition gatherer for a marijuana legalization initiative or a medical marijuana initiative? Is that enough to disqualify us that we don't get our rights to bear arms? How about carrying around a Cheech and Chong lunchbox or maybe even a picture taken of you that shows up in the newspaper at a legalization march or a hemp fest? Now, recently, we've had a couple of Oregon sheriffs out here who've been pursuing a case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court to validate their claim that medical marijuana patients can be denied concealed handgun permits based on this very concept that a medical marijuana patient, by definition, is a drug addict and is barred by federal law from owning a gun. Now, our state courts, all the way up to the Oregon Supreme Court, have held that the sheriffs are outside the bounds of their authority because they're charged with enforcing state laws, not federal laws. So what this looks like to me, this ATF memo, looks like an attempt by President Obama's Department of Justice to assert that the Oregon sheriffs are right. Seems like they're trying to lay some groundwork for some arguments, maybe give that 5-4 conservative majority a nice easy way to get around the uncomfortable notion of being the ones that are taking away somebody's guns. So, if you're a medical marijuana patient in most states, you got no legal way to purchase your medicine. You got to grow your own, or you got to conduct illegal commerce on a criminal market. Now, you have to protect your home grow from invaders or approach black market dealers without the protection of a personal firearm. Now, meanwhile, that same ATF bureau that wants to take guns away from sick and disabled patients who are doing nothing more than obeying state laws and getting away from toxic pharmaceuticals and using what a DEA judge called the safest therapeutically active substance known to man, those folks, right, they want to take the guns away from them. Meanwhile, the ATF has been selling automatic weapons to known Mexican drug dealers as part of that vastly unreported Operation Fast and Furious scandal. That's right, gun dealers who were obeying the law in Arizona were told to look the other way by the ATF, while straw purchasers working for Mexican cartels were allowed to come in and buy loads and loads of automatic weapons and ammunition and take them out of the country, and those weapons disappeared and ended up killing 2 border agents. But the medical marijuana patients, we got to take their guns away. You know, the West out here, I live out in the West all my life. We've always been at the vanguard of medical marijuana reforms, but we're also really fond of our firearms. I sure hope this is going to lead many potential and existing medical marijuana patients and their supporters to forego registering and go back to criminal status and black market dealers, because that's what's going to happen. You're forcing people to choose between their health and their rights, and a lot of them are going to go back to saying, from my cold, dead hands. That's not the way to run a medical marijuana program or a country that believes in individual liberties. Jeez, all those years growing up in Idaho and my Republican acquaintances used to warn, the Democrats are coming to take away your guns. I never thought I'd have to admit they were right.
This is Norml Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Yeah, and since we're druggies, don't expect much help from the NRA. They'll be as receptive as PETA was during those dog shooting stories, I'm sure. Left or right, it doesn't matter. You're a druggie. You don't get rights. I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.